Well, welcome back to Indian Trace. I have to explain a couple things. The last two videos, a handful of you might have seen, and I've deleted them. Last couple videos, I still have. I archive them all, and they're perfectly normal. Now, today, what you're looking at is some stuff that I found at the COVE, and the COVE produces pottery, as you can see. Lots of different seasons, lots of different years and decades, probably centuries of different pottery use. Early woodland to middle woodland. This pottery here is always tempered with sand. It's quartz that you see in this pottery. The last two videos deleted because they weren't syncing right. For what reason? I don't know. The videos that I have are completely normal, like this one will be, and I'll simply just move forward and go for it. But I have my suspicions. YouTube is about up to their eyeballs in problems. Fascist censorship problems, which I'm not afraid of. I collected and will collect, aside from YouTube. That we get to share it, that's great. It's a great medium. I appreciate the service, and it is a service. So unless we get it regulated and unless something happens in that measure, we're not going to get too far. But look at this. That aside, these were in the video, live finds, and I have to put them up right here. Again, this pottery came from the COVE today. It's beautiful stuff. Just went out there and have a little bit of fun at lunch and pick up some pottery, and was able to snag this great Marl Mountain point. I'll show you it. And I think I posted the video on one of the last two videos. It might still be up. I'll have to double check. But if you haven't, now depending on what the political interest link that I post here is, if you haven't seen the history of gun control, you have to see it. I know it's an hour, but just take some time. I mean, I don't even watch TV anymore. I study. I look to learn more and more every day about what's going on. It's an incredible time to be alive. Listen, there's a lot I need to know and be straight with in my head for my family and my sons. And a lot I would venture to say that you need to know. It's unbelievable. Now, if there's problems with syncing in videos and what have you and links, I will also put the link again to my Indian Trace account on gab.ai. It's just another service medium that people can share their First Amendment rights God born into, freedom of speech. And let us all die in a violent civil war if we don't have freedom of speech. That goes for the freedom to defend our own lives and defend our own safety and defend my children, my wife, if there should be a sick, mentally deranged individual. Indeed, I will defend my family, and you will too. But if we can't do that, let us, in this country, die. Defending those freedoms and many more. All the amendments plainly written as rights that we already have. I'm getting carried away. I'm sorry. Listen. This is awesome. But the gun control historical report is well worth the time. I mean, I was moved. I watched the whole thing, finished it last night. Here's a point that I have found at Sand Hill, and that was a good find, fun find. Wish you could have seen it. There was a lot of pottery there the other day. It was fine, piece of quartz. And then there was this one from yesterday, from the origin. And this origin is right next to Mecca, where I found this great hammerstone. And it's really great. It might look a little rough, but I'm going to show you some things. So stay tuned here. Check this out, though. Marl Mountain, made out of rhyolite. Just some really great work. Again, you might have glimpsed, only about 5-6 people did. The other videos before I deleted them, I was just slightly frustrated in the fact that they weren't syncing. Not in the reasons as to why. I've never doubted that my account could become flagged because of the serious political interest links that I share that will completely liberate somebody from thinking that socialism or communism is a good idea. That's just the bottom line, everybody. Come on. We have to work together, and we can do this thing together. And there's so many good people in this community that can hear that, that can take their part to step up and do what they can do. Okay. This is the stone that I found yesterday out at Mecca. And here, this color, orangish, is the cortex, as many of you know. But some of you find these stones, at first I said, oh, it's just a broken hammerstone. I found a lot of those and I figured I would keep it. But these are really old breaks. After I cleaned it up, I realized nothing new about any of these breaks. This tool was simply used, and we have the indicative well used off. And the reason I know that is because it's down to the quartzite. And then this, which is the cortex of the stone, is missing from this indentation on the top of the stone, which many have mentioned to me is used for pressure flaking, I think too. But then they also used the other side and completely took off, see, a little cortex in the concave. Now look at the cortex, right there, that color. But on the back side of the stone, it's very flat, very used for grinding of some sort. Rolling nuts, grinding something, grains, whatever, wild grains or whatever. But it's very rough, so it's not real smooth. They could have been doing multiple things with it. You can hold the stone like this. It's multi-use. You could have been just tapping on the top of things or cracking nuts, God knows what. But we do know what the edges are used for, even in the edge of this stone. And I can't emphasize enough, if I need to, I'm going to repost the history of gun control on this video. I might have already gotten it out there, but there's so many. Look at the working edge on this stone. It's beautiful, isn't it? So many. See, this is nothing new, no new breaks. So this is a completely the way it was hammerstone. It's a good piece. It's a good tool. I don't know. All I can do is encourage you to study for your family's sake. Now to finish, I was at the Cove today, of course, as I said, finding some great pieces of pottery. Double checking myself, and that's what happens. But this, I was easily pulled right out of my top shelf of my display. Pieces from the Cove. Of course, that's why I went. I mean, say for example, I went there and that little teeny piece of a tip was showing. The focus is not even working. Just that little teeny piece. Could have been 1/32 of an inch. And then that is all you needed to see to find this whole point. That didn't happen, but that can happen. You could see the smallest little piece of stone, and you can tell me your story about that if you know what I'm talking about. So my theory is you gotta venture out there. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. Because I could tell you the stories for all these, and it's all different stories. You don't ever know. For example, this first one is a great piece of rhyolite that I found dead flat right in the footprint of one of the planters. Didn't even care, stepped right on the thing. I mean, dead center. Probably didn't even see it. He was concentrating on straightening up the tobacco and making sure everything was okay. That was his job. That is their job right there for that crop season. So it was pretty interesting, and it really proved to me that they're really not interested in anything that may be inquisitively man-made as a stone. You know, if we're not educated in how precious and how important this is, it's not going to happen. Anyway, I don't want this to be too long. Look at this point. Recently found there as well. It is as pink as it looks in the natural light. Really great find from the exact same location and site, the Cove. Sliding down to a Guilford Yuma. Interesting, because a Guilford Yuma is going to go strong conservatively at 4,000 BC. That's conservative, or 3,000 BC, or 5,000. But not this pottery. That's for sure, because the pottery jumps up at the earliest, maybe 500 BC, but definitely the break of the millennium to 500 AD, 700 AD, strong woodland period. But not this. And it comes from the exact same site, all this stuff. And this right here could be a woodland point. This right here, maybe. I'm not sure on that. I just haven't had the time to study all that through. Trying to make 10 minutes. Guilford Yuma. I guess I found that this calendar year. And look at this piece of quartz. Now, look at these 5. Indeed, it's probably the right order because 1/5 that I find is really quartz. I don't find as much as you think. Most of it's rhyolite and other stuff, but this was a smoking awesome piece of quartz. Strawberry quartz. All this is the Cove. And that's why I went out there today, just to see what had happened, what had been done out there, what might be just appearing to be just a little flake of stone that proved to be something a whole lot more. You never know. I worked that theory. I believe it's the truth. You never know. Here's another point that I found at the Cove. It was just a great atlatl point. Easy to pull out. I know the stuff that I found there, and usually my brain just, for some reason, just sinks where I find stuff, especially when they're my top end pieces, I guess. Great point. That could be an early woodland point. I'm just not sure. And it's okay. I do know they're ancient Indian points, and happy to find them all the time. So this is going to be, and I'm doing it this way because it's a test for a video. Find out what the world's going on. But if things get worse, if Indian Trace disappears, don't worry about it. Make sure you sync and know the Gab AI address that I've given you, or just go to Gab AI and type in Indian Trace, and forget fascist censorship of tech companies. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. And they can either lose, I guess, with courtesy and respect, or the hard way. All in all, I appreciate you all tuning into Indian Trace. Be well out there.